Let's start with a very simple example, and therefore we consider only one finger for now. trackFinger AE starts recording when you press the slate. trackFinger AE records data 60 times per second, which is the refresh rate of a screen of an iPad. Consequently, whatever the value of frames per second shown on the clapboard, trackFinger AE always records data at 60 frames per second. For how the keyframes are structured in Adobe After Effects, keyframes are recorded from the first frame, the frame 0. The second frame is frame 1, and so on. The keyframes in Adobe After Effects does not refer to the timecode, but always and only a sequence of frames. So, in the first second, 60 frames are recorded, from 0 to 59. At the beginning of the second second of recording, the frame 60 will be recorded, and then the frame 61, and so on. For example, a sequence that will last 10 seconds is 600 frames long. trackFinger AE, as we said, starts recording from the moment in which the clapper is pressed, saving all the frames even when no finger touches the screen surface. For convenience and simplicity, the position keyframes are not stored when no finger is pressed. This also helps to keep down the size of the files that are sent by email. When a finger touches the screen surface, only at this point one keyframe opacity is recorded, which goes from 0 to 100. Regarding of the tracking data of the fingers, these are the only two values that are recorded, 0 when the finger is not pressed and 100 when the finger touches the screen. Even in this case, to keep the file size low, keyframes are recorded only to record the step from the touch and the lifting of the finger and vice versa. Initially, the finger is not on the display surface and therefore the opacity is set to 0. When a finger touches the screen, an opacity keyframe is set to 100% and the previous frame to 0%. Similarly, when you lift your finger from the screen, in the first frame, when it's not pressed, the opacity is set to 0%, but in the previous frame is set to 100%. This allows you to have the minimum number of keyframes, but to have a proper transition between opacity and complete transparency at the touch of not touch of the finger on the display. trackFinger AE, therefore, essentially records position and opacity, assigning position value only in frames in which the finger is actually pressed, and in correspondence of these frames the opacity is always 100%, while it is at 0% when the finger is not pressed. trackFinger AE records the position of the finger in a screen size of 1024 by 768 pixels, which is the screen resolution of the iPad. To summarize, if we start recording and stop after 10 seconds, we recorded the position data of a finger on 600 frames at 60 frames per second with a resolution of 1024 by 768 pixels. This is something to keep in mind, because when we create a composition to simulate an interface, a game, or whatever must take place on a screen of the iPad, we should create a comp with this resolution, 1024 by 768 pixels, 60 frames per second, and duration equal or longer than the length of the recorded track. Note, when you record in portrait mode, the resolution of the comp should be 768 by 1024. Nothing changes, however, for all that has been said about the frames per second, always 60, and for the duration of the comp itself.